Hello and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. We have now made it into the 200s, y'all, and that particularly means that the next few of them that I think that we'll be looking at are from RattleSnake Design. The same guy who's done some designs for that six-leaf company I'd been taking a look at a little bit recently. But yeah, this is a 201, and this was probably my first rattlesnake design that I got. And I'm not exactly the largest fan of this knife for, I couldn't exactly tell you the reasons why. It does have carbon fiber laminate over basically blue G10 handles here. It's not the first one that TwoSun's done like this. There was another one, I think the 115 from Caleb Fetchner that I looked at a little while back, but that was the carbon fiber laminate on green G10. But fairly large kind of out there flipper tab for him. It does have a hole in it, and it's kind of interesting. And yeah, we do have a harpoonish sort of thing going on there, about halfway up the blade. The blade shape itself is pretty much in my wheelhouse of things that I do appreciate. You know, I do like basically like a little bit of belly, probably, you know, between a half and a 2/3 out, all that sort of good stuff. In these particular cases with these harpoon blades, a lot of times I do end up thinking that it doesn't serve a huge purpose, especially when it's far enough out. I guess unless you are really reaching your thumb out there, then you might as well just lop that off and have a clip point. That's probably going to have the same tip. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, we got interesting nested liner sort of thing going on here. We do have 2 liners, looks like. Yes. Okay, good. Making sure they didn't do something weird and have a linerless G10. They've done that on a couple of carbon fibers, but not on G10. So, yeah, nested liners, which I do like. That does keep it nice and thin. And it does have their, I guess at this time, their newish deep carry clip sort of thing going on there. And, you know, this one actually isn't the worst as far as deep carry clips go. You certainly do feel it when you are gripping the knife, but yeah, it's not really digging in or doing anything super crazy. However, this thing, because it's using the G10 laminate, they can't really sculpt that or contour it or anything like that. So these handles are flat slab. And some knives can get away with that, like a Paramilitary 2 or Para 3, you know, Endura, those sort of things. But Saw Glesser's really, really known for ergonomic design. And this one is just not super comfortable. It just, I mean, has a lot of kind of sharpish angles sort of thing going on here. So, yeah, it's not exactly my favorite design, but it's still an interesting piece, and I'm glad that I do have it in the collection. This was also the first TwoSun that I did a cut test on with their 14C28N. And this one in particular didn't do super hot. It did about 300 cuts, which, I mean, that sounds pretty darn fantastic. That does beat out like 12C27 from CJRB and whatnot. But when I've done other cut tests on TwoSun with their D2 and their 14C28N, and they've both done well over twice that, this one probably wasn't exactly the best temper job that's ever been done. But this is, you know, probably one of very few that maybe a little bit subpar in the edge holding category. So I won't really hold that too much against it. The geometry on it's pretty nice. It does come down to a fairly decent thin edge before the shoulder there. And yeah, we got a high saber grind sort of thing there, which, you know, I always kind of appreciate at least a little bit of a flat reference space just for, you know, sharpening purposes. Yes, you can definitely tell it's 14C 28N, so, you know, you looked at it wrong and you get scratches. It happens. Yeah, let's see. I want to, I think, do some size comparisons on there. So, I can go ahead and grab a few of these. Alright, Kerchunk. It is still a full-size knife. So, yep, here it is against the Benchmade 940. About that K-Bar Dozier in D2. It's not exactly a large one, but fairly affordable and very nice to use. There's the Rat number 1. That's basically right around the size wheelhouse that we kind of got going on here. And the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which is also just maybe a little bit smaller in handle and blade dimensions. This one also has flat slabs, and this one's just a little bit ergonomically better in my opinion. I still don't quite prefer the tip down carry that they come with out of the factory, because I do get a little bit of a hot spot there, but yeah, at least I have the options to change it wherever the heck I want on there. Alright, so we got some size comparisons done. How about if we go ahead and take a look at that? And yeah, we're over 3.5 inches. We're probably around, yeah, just slightly over 3.5. So I would be basically the next line over from the 3.5 mark, because we got a little bit of area out there. So yeah, definitely a full-size knife, which, hey, I mean, most of the designers for TwoSuns kind of stick to that in their wheelhouse. One of the reasons why I do kind of appreciate them, because I do like myself larger knives. Let's go for the weight on this guy. We got 4.88 ounces, or 138 and almost a half grams. So not incredibly lightweight. You know, G10's not exactly known as a very exotic lightweight material. But that's perfectly okay. Let's see here. Yeah, as far as thickness goes, we're just basically just a smidge thicker than a PM2 there. Similar construction with the G10 and nested liners, so there you go. Alright, and at least we have a fairly slicey 3.7 millimeter blade stock thickness on that. It's not the absolute sliciest thing, but it is kind of thinner for a lot of TwoSun's designs that tend to be 3.8, 3.9, 4 millimeter thick sort of stuff. So this is just a little bit thinner than that. It does have a fairly generous cutout here, and it's quite a bit larger than you would usually have, and it's actually to its detriment because it's fairly uncomfortable to kind of grip down on that, which is kind of what you need to end up doing. So in this particular instance, I would probably dial it back and bring that back forward just a little bit so you don't have that much of a disparaging difference between those. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look on the inside. This isn't a nested clip. Probably because it's kind of hard to do that and not mess up some of the carbon fiber laminate. You can't reverse it, but it also doesn't really look like there wasn't a reason to not do that. It's just, you know, almost everything is designed for us righties. That is definitely in there. And a spinning, if you can see that. Yep. So, here we are. Means I gotta pull out the old Gorilla Grip. A lot of times you can actually get away with a free spinning pivot without trying to use something on both sides like this. But that is definitely not the case in this particular instance. Looks like I probably went just a little bit overboard with the Loctite, and so that was absolutely my fault for that to begin with. Yeah, this guy just flies apart. Yep, you can see we got the nested liners in there. And there's probably where a lot of the weight comes from, is the fact that these liners are nested. I really do like that feature. However, no skeletonization going on whatsoever. That's probably why you have a little bit more than an extra ounce for the inchage you end up getting with this guy. They could probably knock that down a little bit, and that would be kind of preferable. But I guess it really doesn't matter either way. Yeah, no D-shaped pivot or anything going on there. Just kind of a circular sort of thing. As you saw, I didn't really have any trouble kind of getting that out. However, I suppose I could probably show a little trick if someone is kind of interested in how to do that if they're having a free spinning pivot and they don't necessarily have something in place to help them do that or undo the pivot and whatnot for it. So I shall do that here fairly shortly as I'm shaking the camera apparently. My apologies. Welcome to the top of my wrist cam. Alright, yeah, the action on this thing isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not drop shutty. That's, you know, you definitely can't win them all. I'm gonna have to, yeah. Have to revisit that. That is not the screw that I want. You can tell because it was domed and it's designed to go into the pocket clip. All right. So slam this guy over here so I can tighten her up. Perfect. There we go. So, I was mentioning, while I was putting it back together, if you have a problem with a free spinning pivot that is giving you trouble, a lot of times you can just basically add pressure that way by kind of squeezing the blade back in there. This is definitely a case where if you do have a knife that could have blade wrap or something like that, Probably not the best thing to do, but otherwise, yeah, you can just basically squeeze that, and it adds a lot of extra pressure on the pivot itself, and kind of prevents it from spinning. So it actually makes it quite a bit easier to deal with those pivot sort of things. That won't save you if there's like permanent Loctite in there, but if it's just something where it's spinning and it's kind of annoying. And I could, either use some tape to hold down on that or whatnot. Or if you didn't lose that little piece that was sitting right here on my desk. Yeah, well, but I mean, if you do have if you don't have a pivot tool for something like that, then it is definitely one way of getting around it. It is fairly convenient how that ends up working out for you. So I guess there's a little tip for you. But yeah, there's not a whole lot more that I can say necessarily about this guy. What I can say is that a lot of the other rattlesnake designs that I do have, I do end up liking more than this one. Some of them are around the same, some of them are a little higher end, some of them are slip joints and whatnot. So, it does get better, but this was my first experience with this particular designer. So, alrighty, well, there's the TS201. Little interesting little duder there. Not exactly an ergonomic masterpiece in my opinion, but it'll certainly get the job done if that's exactly what you're looking for. So, all right, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Snap, snap.